Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ijay, and if you are seeing my face for the first time, hi. On this channel we do a lot of lifestyle videos, vlogs, and sometimes I do sit down videos where I give you guys a lot of information. So in this particular video I'm going to be sharing my entire immigration journey, my Japa story. Basically, I'm going to be telling you guys everything that happened from the moment I decided to apply for my visa to when I traveled to Canada. So I've been in Canada for about 3.5 months now, and I just feel like right now is a great time to tell you guys about my journey and how I was able to get my visa approved. So this video is going to have a lot of sections. I'm going to just like divide it into sections because the story is a bit long and I don't want to make it too long or difficult to watch. So I'm going to try as much as possible to give you as much relevant information as I can, but please bear it in mind that I am not an immigration official. I am not an immigration expert. I do not have any qualification to talk about the subject, but I'm going to share my experience and my research with you. So if that helps you, I'll be glad, but if not, same with a pinch of salt so that you can use the information properly. So the first thing I would like to say is that I traveled to Canada with a spousal work permit. So basically that means that I got the status of my spouse. The spousal work permit is just saying that whatever status that your spouse legally has, that you are entitled to is as long as you guys are a couple in the eyes of the law, as long as you guys are legally married. So for me, I was able to get a spousal work permit because I was married and my husband was currently working in Canada. So let us just talk about the entire process. So first part of the video is just going to be my the immigration story, like how everything happened. So sometime around early last year, when I and my husband got engaged, we started looking into how possible it would be for me to get my visa approved. So we decided to just apply for a visitor visa. So we gathered all our documents and we put in a visitor visa. Remember that at this point in the story we were not yet married, so we are applying as engaged people. Okay, we are engaged and we would like to get this visitor visa for me to come and visit him. So unfortunately the visa was not approved, it was denied. So you guys can imagine how devastated I felt that time, but we just continued with our wedding plans and everything was fine. We just continued to plan for our wedding towards the end of the year because the first application that we did was around March 2023. So we were getting married sometime in September. So we just continued planning towards our wedding and everything was going well. Our plan was that after the wedding we would now apply for a different kind of visa or look into the best possible way to apply for a visa and make sure that I am able to come and live with him. So we started looking into other options. Towards the time that we got married, we were already like considering whether we should go the study route or maybe try the visitor visa again. But I was not really feeling the visitor visa again, especially after the first time and what happened. So I was most likely going in the route of should we consider a study visa, because I was already done with my bachelor's at that time. So I was considering maybe a master's or a postgraduate study program that would help me be able to kill two birds with one stone. I can follow my education and as well move to Canada. So that was what we were considering then, but after a while we just decided to get like expert information. We wanted to hear from somebody that was an expert. So basically we just decided to pay a 1-hour session with an immigration official that stays in Canada, like an immigration professional, and she stays in Canada. So we just decided to talk to her and hear what she has to say about our situation. So we booked a 1-hour session with her on Zoom and we discussed everything. We told her of our plans and what we were thinking of doing, that we're getting married in September, but like look at what we're planning to do and we're not sure what the best way to approach the situation is, considering that I had already been denied a visa and you don't want to make another mistake and have another denial. So I was just trying to figure out the best possible way to apply for my visa. So we talked to her, and after explaining everything to her, she said to us, why don't you guys consider a spousal work permit? Because at that point in time we were not even considering the option of spousal work permit. It was not even on our radar at all. We were just like, okay, let's like look into study because that seems to be the most pursuable plan. or let me not say but sure, but maybe say like the most successful looking plan in our eyes then. So she made us know about the spousal work permit and just like basically told us that because we're getting married, I'm actually eligible for the spousal work permit and that we should look into it. So after she told us about the spousal work permit, basically that was when it came to our notice, because before then we were not even considering it. So after that we planned for our wedding, and after the wedding, or even before the wedding, I was already making my research. I was doing a lot of research about the spousal work permit routes and what it entails, like the documents we would need. First of all, if you're even going to consider the spousal work permit, you need to have a spouse, of course, but most importantly, you need to have a way to prove that you guys are actually in a relationship, a genuine relationship. So for us, it was our marriage certificate that we had to use as evidence and proof from our family members and pictures and all of that we're actually in a genuine relationship. So after we had gotten married, we decided to start putting our documents together to apply for the spousal work permit. So we got married in September of 2023, and since the September of 2023 we were just trying to figure out the documents that we needed, and we were just gathering it because sometimes it actually takes a while to gather some documents. So eventually we submitted our application on the 5th of November 2023. So from September to November we're just gathering documents, like right after the wedding and everything. That was September. We just had to start gathering our documents, and we gathered documents around November of 2023, and that was when we finally put in the application. Moving on to the second section of the video, which is basically the timeline of events. We applied for my visa and put in the application for my visa on the 5th of November 2023. I'm just going to be stating dates so that it's easy to calculate the timeline with you guys. We applied for a visa on the 5th of November 2023, and we had used the same account I used for my previous visitor visa application that was denied. So the only thing that we had to do was to include my name change documents, that okay, I'm now married and I'm changing my name to this, and also just like provide all the necessary documents for our application. So you can have multiple applications in the same account, and that was what we did. We didn't want to start creating a new account for my application, so we used my old account I had used to apply for my visitor visa, and then we were able to gather our documents together and just like put everything as best as we could, because we did not have money to pay an agent at that point. We had already made so many expenses, like after the wedding and everything, like there were so many things on ground at that point, so we did not have enough money or even want to look into hiring an agent. We had to do the entire application process start to finish by ourselves. So that was like one thing that it took a lot of time. That's part of the reason that it took a lot of time to put together the application. But yeah, we just had to do it together while on Zoom. Like we're in a long distance marriage, and we'd have to spend at least like 4 hours or 5 hours a day like putting together the application, and then we're finally able to submit it on the 5th of November 2023. So on the 4th of December 2023, I went and did an upfront medical. Upfront medical just basically means that my medical was not requested from RCC, but I went ahead and did the medical without being requested of me. So I booked a medical appointment beforehand. After submitting my application, I just booked the medical appointment, and I went ahead and did it on the 4th of December or 5th of December, I think. And then I think about 2 days later, if I'm not mistaken, 2 days later, I got my results from IOM Abuja. That was where I did my medical examination. So after I got my medical examination, I decided that I was going to use web form to submit my medical examination to RCC, like telling them that I've gone and done my medicals and this is the results that I was gotten. IOM also sent them the results from their lab directly. So after my medicals, I sent them a web form notifying them that I had already done the medical exam, and then IOM Abuja sent them my medical results directly. So that was what happened. Then almost 3 weeks later, on the 22nd of January, RCC asked me for my medicals. They asked me to submit my medicals within 30 days. I remember that I had already submitted evidence of my medical examination to them like almost 1 month before, and it never updated. They never told me that they received it. So I was a bit confused, because on one hand, I know that it's a good sign that they're asking for my medical, because my previous application that was rejected, my medical exam was never asked for. It never got to that stage. If they were going to approve it, they will usually ask for a medical, but if they're not going to approve, most times they would not ask for a medical. So I was just happy that they were asking for my medical on one hand, but on the other side, I was like, I've already applied and I've given you my medical exam, and IOM told me that they had sent them the results. So immediately I submitted my medical exam results to them again. Like, I just used web form to submit it the next day, telling them that I've already submitted before, and IOM Abuja had already submitted the results to them, but that I'm submitting it again here. Like, I sent them several emails and web forms. Then I emailed IOM Abuja asking them to, if possible, resend the medical exam, but they said that they could not. So I just had to wait for RICC to finally update their my portal and tell me if my medical had been gotten or not. So after about 2.5 days of waiting, I now got a notification that my medical had been updated on my account, basically. So that was already done. My medicals had been updated. So remember that this was on the 24th of January. All this was happening around the 24th or 25th of January 2024. Then on the 1st of February 2024, I got a correspondence letter telling me that my biometrics is valid till a particular date. And then I also got a letter telling me to submit my passport, that is original passport request. I was so happy at that point. I was just like over the moon. So about 3 days later, I sent my passport to them with all the necessary documents, and they received it just about 5 days later, because it took some time for the transport company to deliver my documents. But eventually they received my documents and they acknowledged that they had already gotten it. So within about 7 days, that is on the 6th of February, they received it. And then on the 16th of February, so remember that they requested for my passport on the 1st of February. They got the passport around the 6th of February, and on the 16th of February now, I received a letter telling me that my work permit had been approved. So from the November to the 16th of February, that was the timeline of my application. So I was now expecting my passport back within a few days. So just about 4 days later, on the 20th of February, I got my passport back. And before then, I had already been making travel plans. So I just continued with my travel plans and booked my flights to Canada on the 29th of February. So I got my passport back on the 20th of February. I then started making my final travel plans to move to Canada, because before then I was already making my plans on how to travel. I already bought everything. You guys saw all my vlogs then. I had already finished carrying all my things. So when I got my passport back on the 20th of February, my travel plans were almost already finished, like concluded. So I just booked my flights for the 29th of February and I traveled to Canada. I arrived in Canada on the 1st of March 20. So that's basically the timeline of my visa application and everything that's happened. So I'm just going to give you guys like a rundown of documents that we submitted. This is the third section of the video, which is the documents that we used and documents that we submitted for our application that was approved. We didn't use an agent like I told you already, so we did most of the application, everything together. Me and my husband, we were just like filling all the forms and then gathering all our documents. So there were a few forms that we had to fill out. The first form was application for work permits made outside of Canada. Then there's a family information form that you have to fill out about all your family members. Then there's also a passport bio data page, like you have to submit your passport bio data page, and then a digital photo of you, like a passport basically. And then we had to also get a proof of relationship, like your marriage certificate, like any other evidence of your relationship that you can put your hands on. It will be necessary for this kind of application. Then optional documents for us was the client information. You have to submit client information if you want. If you don't want, it's an optional document, but most times it is highly recommended that you actually submit it. And then application for temporary residence visa made outside of Canada, like it's just like a form that you fill and then submit. This one is optional, but as always it is a bit more advisable that you submit it. So the client information is just basically where you put all of your like other information that you don't know where else to put in the application, like just telling the visa officer that okay, this is who you are and this is your husband, like just to further solidify the relationship in his mind, or to give you a more like to give your application more context, like okay, this is me and this is what I've been doing with my life or whatever. Anyway, that's the timeline of my application, and these are all the documents that I submitted for my application. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please, of course, remember that I am not an immigration official. This was all the information that I was able to get at that period that I'm just sharing with you. My application process was actually miraculous. Think of this video as sort of like a guide. If you're in your own application process, I wish you good luck, and I hope that everything works out for you the way you plan it. My best advice to you would be to do your own research, look up good videos on YouTube, and just like take it with a pinch of salt. Also do your own research on RCC website to make sure that everything that you are finding is the truth. This is just my story and my Japa timeline. I just wanted to share that with you in case you guys would find that helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.